Stuart, has Sean Cronin been able to train at all?
No one's trained today yet, so we're still. He hasn't trained. Didn't train last week. We only had a light week last week, so hopefully he's going to do units today with a view to training tomorrow and on Thursday. So we're optimistic.
How would you rate his chances of playing?
Optimistically. No, I mean he hasn't trained yet. So he didn't train last week. You know, it's obviously a calf injury, but we're planning on him doing the unit session today. And then tomorrow we've got a full training session. He might take part in that depending on how today goes. But no, we're pretty optimistic that he'll be right for Thursday.
Will you give him longer than usual to prove his fitness, or?
Yeah. We'll definitely give him up until Thursday because he's such an important player. He's been outstanding. I think you saw the awards ball. You know, he won the awards for Players Player, and so yeah, he's good for us. And
Rhys Ruddock, what's his chance of playing this weekend?
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with him. So he's available for selection. He's gone through his return to play protocol, and he'll be back training this afternoon.
And the Gibson Park.
Yeah. So he got the hamstring in the Glasgow game. So he hasn't trained with us yet. It's still probably not planned to train until later this week. So it's going to be tight for this weekend, but obviously it's a bonus for him coming back. With the semi-final in mind after this weekend, plus the other bonus of Josh van der Fleer being back, potentially available to train this week with a view to next week as well.
With a view to next week, not.
No.
Yeah.
No. It'd be too short notice for him. But that's a real bonus. He's done brilliantly to get back from that groin injury, and a real boost for the squad.
Jameson's fitness makes that decision over James Lowe potentially slightly easier.
Yeah.
Hey,
plus also, the Toulouse game, we went with, because of the injury anyway, but we went with Scott obviously and James, and they both played pretty well.
Pretty confident in Hugh O'Sullivan if he needs to.
Yeah. I mean, he's trained right away throughout the season now. He's played some big games. He's started. He's come off the bench. He came off the bench in the Toulouse game. He's a confident young man, and that's what you need in a scrum half. Really delighted for him the progress he's made this year. He's got the full confidence of the squad, and like I say, he'd be more apprehensive if he hadn't done the work in training, but he's been in there right from the very start. So no, he's good to go.
And then in terms of James, then did he prove?
James Lowe.
James Lowe. Did he prove in that game against Toulouse that he is exactly the type of player you need on the wing to counteract what Saracens will throw? Yeah,
I mean, we're fortunate. We've got we're blessed with a lot of options on the wing. I mean, Dave Carney very unlucky to miss out, I thought, against Toulouse, but I thought James was outstanding in that game. Obviously, he's got point of difference as an attacking player, but he was very on point defensively, which is obviously a big part of the game as well. But he's definitely got an offer something. If the Jack Conan collision, if you like, before half time, and James's try, and he dropped the ball over the line, he'd end up with 3 tries in that game, wouldn't he? So. But the most pleasing thing about the Toulouse game was obviously not to concede any tries, and James Lowe was a big part of that.
Just in terms of Saracens, Stuart, you've obviously looked very, very close to them, and they have pretty much steamrolled everything in front of them in Europe, particularly this year. How do you go about stopping a team like that?
I mean, obviously you've got to respect the quality of the performances they put in. It's not just the results. They pretty much controlled the pool from the start. 2 great wins in a semi-final, 50-odd points, a quarter-final, 50-odd points, and 30-odd points in a semi-final. So, we know them well. I know them well. Obviously, I know a lot of their players. The one thing I would say, I think we were in a similar position last year. We won 6 from 6, quarter-final, semi-final, and I think we got the lead in the final on 78 minutes and 30 seconds at 15-12. So, what happens in the lead-up to a final and what happens in the final are 2 different things. But we're very respectful of what they can offer, both as an attacking team, but also as a defensive team as well, and their aerial threat. They've got world-class players in a lot of the positions, and a very good, strong team spirit, work ethic for each other. Brilliantly coached by Matt McCall and his team. I know Matt well, and a lot of respect for where he's built the club. But we're pretty confident ourselves as well. We took Toulouse, who've just gone and put 80 points on Poe, and I know you could argue maybe that wasn't the biggest challenge for them, but the number of tries they've scored during the course of the season and the quality of tries, to hold them to no tries, to beat them 30 odd points as we did in the semi-final, shows that we're in decent form as well.
Isn't that going to be the key, really, defence? You're going to have to stop them scoring because they've pretty much scored at will. Anytime they've been in almost the opposition's half, never mind 22, they've been able to come away.
Yeah, I think it works both ways. You know, the team that scored the most tries in the Champions Cup 3 years ago was in the league was us. Last year, 2 years ago, was us. This year, we scored the most tries in the pool again. So we scored 95 tries in the league. So I think, you know, we've got our own threats as an attacking unit, but you're right. What they do is they control field position and territory really well. And we need to make sure we limit those opportunities, number one, to build pressure and field position us. But number two, obviously when they're in there, they either go for a very effective driving game, power game, but obviously they've got the likes of Owen and Alex Good in particular, who are two fantastic ball players who can create opportunities out of nothing. So, you know, it's the two best teams in the final. We're going to say, you know, we're a good attacking team, they're a good attacking team.
In terms of that semi-final performance, would you be very encouraged from where you went to from the quarter-final to that semi-final to now, 3 weeks later, heading into a final, and at the time almost unbroken that you've been able to handle this one?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a big difference, there's no doubt. You know, I think people have sort of looked back at the season and said, oh, you know, we've not quite fired on all cylinders, but I'll go back to the point, you know, we put 50-odd point on Wasps, you know, beat Bath by 40 points at the Aviva. You know, these are big games and big moments. So we're confident in our ability, you know, to turn up and play in the big games. You know, we've done it over the last couple of years. I thought we were more cohesive against Toulouse than we were against Ulster, and I think there was a reason for that. You know, getting the lads back after the Six Nations, some of the injuries that we'd had in the lead up to that game. So those couple of weeks definitely showed, I thought, in the Toulouse performance, and obviously another couple of weeks. Hopefully it'll show again. It'll need to as well because, you know, Saracens are, for me, playing some outstanding rugby and very, very cohesive. And even when they've made changes, the changes look relatively seamless. To beat Exeter by 30 points at the weekend, you know, it shows the testimony to the quality of their bench and their squad.
And it was all the big players that showed up. It was Toner, it was Sexton, it was Henshaw, all those returning players, and obviously James Lowe coming back in.
Yeah, and you know, when you go for matchups across the board, you know, both teams are stock full of internationals and Lions. And if there's an overseas player there, he's usually an international as well. So, yeah, I think it's a fantastic testimony to both squads that they've both reached the final, and it's one everyone's looking forward to, I think.
Stuart, there's obviously a lot of video analysis and everything, but you have built up a lot of intelligence on some of those England players with Saracens. So how much are you going to be able to tap into that in a game where every little bit counts?
Yeah, you know, you're right. I mean, you know, analysis of everything. My experience, obviously, the experience of last year, their experiences of winning and losing finals. We've won and lost in semi-finals. You know, the year we lost in the semi-final against Clermont, Saracens went on to win it, beat Clermont in the final. And I was looking at their side they put out that day. And if they start Vincent Cock at tight head, it'll be the same pack that won that final in 2017. So they've got a hugely experienced team, but also, you know, they've lost as well, as both teams have. So there's so little to choose between the teams, both in positional matchups, but also the evolution and the strength of each of the squads. That's why I think it makes for such a fascinating encounter.
Stuart, one of those matchups, you've obviously coached both men, the battle between the two tens this weekend, Sexton against Farrell.
So it was a question. Yeah, I've coached them both. Yeah, I've coached them both. Yeah, definitely. But that goes the same for Jack Cunningham, Billy Vanapola, and Mario Jodhi and James Ryan, and you know, and the list goes on really. I think you know, a lot's to be said about the 10, but you know, we like to think we've got a lot of people who can be ball players in the back line, as Saracens do, to be honest. You know, I look at like Alex Lavoski and Alex Good, as I say. Brad obviously can play as a first receiver. So there's a lot of matchups across the board, and the Sexton Farrell one will probably grab the headlines, but equally, you know, Tag Fergal and Maka Vanapola in the scrum, Jimmy George, Sean Cronin, etc., etc. It's never ended.
You mentioned the improvements between the quarter-final and the semi-final. The fact that your Pro 14 home semi-final booked so early, has that been helpful just to maybe keep your frontline troops nice and fresh for this European journey then?
It's certainly helped not having to play this weekend. You know, I think, you know, if I'm being honest, because we were so far ahead so early, we lost a bit of momentum in the league. You know, with one or two defeats, we rotated the squad. So I don't like losing games. So it's a bit frustrating to have lost those. But in the bigger picture, the goal obviously is to become top of your conference. So it gives you that weekend off. So you saw how hard Munster and Treviso went against each other, and Ulster and Connacht. The fact you'd had to have done that if you'd come second in your conference would have been really challenging, I think, then to build properly for a Champions Cup final. Saracens did the same. Fair play to them. They went to Wasps. They won away from home. They guaranteed themselves a home semi-final, which meant they could rest up against Exeter this weekend.
Stuart, can I just ask you finally about John Garces? Obviously, a lot will be made about his officiating and the breakdown. How is that going to impact the game, and how does it impact your kind of preparations leading into it?
Yeah, I mean, we know him well. He's refereed a lot of the games I've been involved in, a lot of the games the players have been involved in. When you get to the top end of European rugby, there's a small pool of referees that tend to referee these games, and it's all about us understanding what he's looking for and making sure we abide by that. I mean, that's as simple as that, because if we start giving away dumb penalties at the ruck or wherever, Owen Farrell's good enough to kick them from halfway, and you go 3 points, 6 points, 9 points, which is exactly what Saracens want. They build the game, they build pressure, you start chasing the game, and it becomes the template they look for. So discipline will be key, I think.